Jersey surpasses 100 marijuana stores, projects $1 billion in sales. New Jersey governor's office, the New Jersey's governor's office is celebrating the opening of more than 100 marijuana stores in the state. The New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission's website lists 102 medical cannabis dispensaries and adult use stores, according to news release. I like how they differentiate the dispensaries versus the stores. The commission's executive director, Jeff Brown, said he expects regulated cannabis sales to exceed $1 billion in 2024, according to Iceland-based news outlet NJ.com. I hope I pronounced that right. In 2023, adult use sales in New Jersey totaled more than $673 million, and MMJ transactions were more than 99 million. When adult use sales launched in 2022, the total New Jersey market was projected to be worth $2 billion. Multi-state operators who were already operating in the medical market were the first to receive adult use licenses. More recently, critics have alleged regulators aren't processing license applications quickly enough, and that New Jersey's fledgling adult use market is caught in a doom loop, in quotations. Reaching 100 cannabis dispensaries is a huge milestone that shows we are headed in the right direction, Governor Phil Murphy, a Democrat, said in a statement. As we continue towards our goal for the cannabis market in New Jersey, I am grateful to the Cannabis Regulatory Commission for their dedicated work and leadership on this critical area of the economy. And it's a short story today. That's it. So, you know, I have a long history with New Jersey. Me and my partners in 2018, we submitted an application for one of the licenses, and it took years for them to actually decide who was going to win those licenses, and we were luckily one of the recipients. Shout out NJ Nectar out there. But it's just really tough in a place like New Jersey. The politics are just very thick, and it's very tough to get things done. So I'm glad that they're at 100 stores, because I know how difficult it is. But you know, it's an unfortunate reality for a lot of the patients and just people that want to use cannabis as an alternative medicine or just an alternative recreationally to alcohol or what have you. So I think that it's going in the right direction. It's just been a lot slower than everybody has expected, or definitely wants. But it's good. It's good news. More accessibility, more availability, and hopefully it'll surpass 100 or $1 billion. Hopefully they'll be close to that $2 billion mark. But let me hear from you guys. What do you have to say? People in the chat, let's hear it all. What do you think?
I mean,
it's always good as more retail operations open up, for sure. I mean, there's only 60 in all of Nevada.
Look who else is eating New York's lunch. New Jersey.
That's right.
Yeah, New Jersey from the jump has been, they've been staying quiet, and they've had their hiccups, but it just seems like they keep on jumping right back ahead of New York.
It's amazing New Jersey is able to do these kinds of numbers, but New York couldn't do this if their life depended on it.
I mean, look, New Jersey's done a better job than New York, but that's such a low bar. We shouldn't use it as a bar. It's more like a cap. And so,
wouldn't you call it maybe like a trip cord? Like maybe a trip cord, Yarrow?
It's like the question is what state hasn't done as poor a job as New York? And all of a sudden there'd be crickets and silence, right?
I'm all for booby traps.
And and New Jersey, if we want to take a shot at New Jersey, the only shot that I would take is the number of outdoor cultivation licenses they have issued. Again, big crickets. Mm-hmm. And so we know that outdoor cannabis has a different terpene profile, can have terroir flavors that for a connoisseur can be very desirable, and that outdoor cannabis has in theory, can have a lower carbon footprint, at least according to a slightly incomplete study that was done by an economist in Colorado. And so, again, New Jersey is going to do better than New York. What's that?
Was that Saman Razani that came through with
that? No, Saman is not an economist. He just helps create money for people who hire him. There's a difference.
Saman is an economy. He is the economy.
Oh boy.
Saman economy. So I think that anytime we compare things to New York, anything's going to look much better, right? And it's too bad because New York is such a relevant state and is going to be relevant and has been relevant in a legacy market. I mean, the Triangle ate because the boroughs existed, let's be clear. And there's always been a deep East Coast, West Coast cooperation and synergy. But until they can get a bunch of retail open, they're just going to have an apology tour.
Mm-hmm.
The doom loop comment was exactly correct. It's like the regulators need to step out of the way of industry enough to let it blossom. And the problem is, again, when you have a political situation like you have in like all the East Coast, it's so mired in these relationships that it's really tough to get things done because of the entitlement and the connections and everything like that. So look, it all plays its part. But the more they stand in the way, not let it succeed, it's just to the detriment of their coffer, right? And that's what the whole relationship between our industry and the tax revenue. It's obvious. So like, get out of the way, legalize it, make the money, and stop fucking around. That's how I view it. But I also, I'm half retarded, so I don't know. Like I might just I might just be living in a fantasy world in my mind.
He does. Saman does. He does live in a fantasy world.
It's that simple, people. It's that simple.
They have to embrace the industry to help make these rules and to legislate, right? That's their problem. They think that they're in government, so they know better, right? And they just don't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jason, you probably have the conversation all the time. Nobody knows what it's like to run a dispensary unless you've run a dispensary.
Exactly.
Right?
Everyone will talk about how they know and and all this, but unless you actually have done it for a while, you have no
what I'm saying.
clue what's involved.
The fact that the government officials don't embrace the industry owners and the good players create good legislation just doesn't make any sense.
I agree. Well, that's they design it to fail from the beginning, Todd.
There's one other thing I would do to criticize Jersey's cannabis programs, which is the inability to take biomass from either a medical or recreational supply chain and to be able to move it across those. You can go from one direction to the other, but you can't go the other direction to the other. I think that that's a missed opportunity to continue to allow for access and lower cost cannabis for the customer / end user.
Yarrow, in answering on that, James of Flatbush in the chat, he says, at least New York got home grow. I can grow my own weed, he says. But
home grow's critical.
Hold on, but I'll tell you this much. Don't let regulators hear that, because they definitely will make that correlation of home grow and the illicit market in New York's market and try to say that is as another reason for them to try to eliminate home grow in municipalities that come online. So be careful with that one.
Yeah, they're going to put up all kinds of roadblocks, like in government housing, you're not going to be able to grow weed probably, and those types of situations. So it's like, it's becoming more accessible, but it's not free. We're a long way from free. It's accessible, and I think that's the kind of the story with my keen, sharp news insight that I'm seeing is this accessibility is what we are voting for when we're voting to legalize cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
We're voting for freedom of choice, and we're voting to be able to cultivate a plant in our garden in the backyard, and without a privacy fence that's like 10 feet high and whatever. It's this kind of stuff is ridiculous, and we're letting it happen. That's the real truth, is we're just letting it happen to us. No one's really standing in the way. No one really cares. Everyone's just trying to focus on their little piece, and I get that. But as a community, to push forward, we all got to be.
So he talked about freedom of choice. He talked about weed people. And on this month where we celebrate women, let's not forget that freedom of choice should extend to women's right to have reproductive options that are between them and their doctor.
Yeah, we're not an abortion show. We're a weed show.
For the people, and weed for the people.
Yeah, weed for the people. I'm with that. I'm gonna roll into this final story for you.